our membership in the World Trade Organization, saying that the issue of whether the nation should adopt liberalization, globalization, and deregulation should be left to the discretion of the elected policymakers. So too the court acceded to the wisdom of Congress and the President in imposing the kind and amount of value-added taxes, or VAT, needed to propel the economy. And as a final example, the court upheld the mining law, holding that elected leaders should be granted reasonable leeway to enable them to attract foreign investments and expertise, and to secure for our people and our posterity the blessings of prosperity and peace. Let me tackle briefly the rule of law, the third important phrase of my vision mission statement for the judiciary. The safeguarding of liberty and the nurturing of prosperity must be planned, worked on, and carried out in accordance with pre-agreed rules embodied in the Constitution and in the laws. Let me give some parallels in common experiences. Every sport has rules. When these rules are violated, a foul is called. And depending on the gravity of the act, the offender is penalized. No team, no matter how talented, can win without following the rules. Thus, when a basketball player forces himself on the opposite team, a foul is called, and a basket that is already made is not counted. The referees cannot award the trophy until the game is finished within the prescribed period. In the same manner, no person may be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. In their impatience, some people resort to shortcuts and immediately condemn an accused because allegedly lengthy procedure should not stand in the way of justice. If the accused is obviously guilty because his crime has been committed in the full view of cameras, why should the state waste valuable time and resources in hearing and trying him? Just jail him, period, so they say. There is an inherent danger in this argument. When people ignore the rule of law and belittle due process, they really abet authoritarianism. What differentiates libertarianism from authoritarianism or dictatorship is the rule of law. No person, no matter how powerful or talented, can be above the law. Everyone, rich or poor, powerful or powerless, must follow pre-agreed rules. The rule of law also differentiates democracy from the rule of the mob. The mere fact that the gallery wants a team to win, despite repeated violations of the rules, will not entitle that team to the trophy. The mere fact that allegedly 6 million people have signed a petition to change the Constitution in violation of due process and legal procedure is of no moment. It cannot be allowed. The Panganiban Court stressed the rule of law when it rejected the administration's juggernaut to institute the parliamentary system via a people's initiative. To my mind, the peculiar facts and distinct circumstances of the Philippines make the formula liberty and prosperity under the rule of law is still the most viable economic and judicial philosophy here. After all, during the years of martial law, authoritarian rule proved to be incapable of producing meaningful long-term economic progress. I believe that the activist policy of our Supreme Court on liberty issues, its non-interventionist stance on prosperity questions, and its steadfast insistence on the rule of law have immensely contributed to the nation's stability and economic well-being. After that extended discussion of the three parts of my vision for the judiciary, my time is almost exhausted. Hence, I will not be able to discuss my mission statement, my core values, and the asset problems that corrode justice. Let me just say that to discuss them all this whole afternoon would not be enough, and you will walk out on me. However, you can refer to the 11 books I have written about them, one for every year of my service in the Supreme Court. Moreover, we have an open forum, as already announced, where you can ask your questions. Let me end this address, ladies and gentlemen, with a little story, one of my favorite true stories to summarize my message. On his first day in office, the new chief executive of a huge Philippine company asked how many cars were assigned to his office as president. He was stunned to learn that there were more than 60. He retained only one and ordered the immediate sale of the remainder. On his second day, an assistant visited his office with a big briefcase full of cash that he was told was his personal share of the commissions for the advertising place-based company in several media outlets. No, they did come from Campaigns and Gray. He ordered the assistant to have them deposited officially in the company's bank account. On his third day, he noticed that many of his executives arrived in their offices only about 10 a.m. Without commenting on the dismaying habits of his subordinates, he asked his secretary to make arrangements to bring him to office before 8 a.m. daily. In those 3 early days, without giving a pep talk and without criticizing anyone, Manuel B. Pangilinan led his subordinates at the PLDT in practicing. Nahihiya pa kayong pumalakpakan. In those early 3 days, without giving a pep talk and without criticizing anyone, Manuel B. Pangilinan led his subordinates at the PLDT in practicing the prudent use of corporate assets, integrity in money matters, and on-time office arrivals. After a few years of leadership by example, the market value of PLDT tripled tenfold, and its corporate ethics 100-fold. In this season of Lent, it will be apropos to recall how our Lord Jesus Christ taught his disciples how to spread the gospel most effectively. After the Last Supper, our Lord took off his outer garments, got a towel, and wrapped it around his waist. Then he poured some water in a basin and began washing their feet. The apostles remonstrated, and Peter said, "Master, you will never wash my feet." But unknown to the disciples, the Lord was teaching them the virtues of humility and of watching over one another, lest they fall into sin. So he declared, and I quote from the good book, "If I, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you too ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow. So as I have done for you, you should also do." Close quotation. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways to lead by delivering motivational speeches and homilies and lectures like what I'm doing, by sporting an iron fist, by buying loyalties, by dispensing patronage, and by belonging to a dynasty. It helps to be a great orator and a financial wizard. Patting backs and rewarding good work have their uses. Charisma, media exposure, good looks, genes, science, passion, opportunity, and greed have propelled many people to center stage, but have failed to produce the desired results. Many, unfortunately, have resulted in corruption, malgovernance, and violation of human rights. committing to and aggressively pursuing a clear vision, mission, and core values are an essential beginning. However, leading by example is the best, if not the only way, to long-term, effective leadership during these challenging times. Maraming salamat po.